Assalamualaikum and a very good day. So today we're going to start our topic on chocolate. So chocolate, this is the historical perspective of chocolate. The scientific name for cocoa is Theobroma cocoa, or also known as cocoa tree. This is the food of the goat. The edible properties of Theobroma cocoa were discovered over 2,000 years ago by the local people in Mexico and Central America, living deep in the tropical rainforest. So during the 12th through the 16th century, the elite of Aztec civilization drank chocolate derived from the cocoa beans and also offered chocolate to the Aztec gods. The beans were also used as both currency and medicine. This is show how the cocoa or the cocoa bean is most powerful item during that area. So, following the Spanish conquest of Mexico, the cocoa bean were brought to the Spain in 1528. During the next 100 years, the sugarcane, vanilla, and cinnamon were added to the bitter chocolate rather than peppers and natural herbs. So during the 1657, the first chocolate house was opened in London. And chocolate was introduced in North America during the mid-18th. The chocolate was provided as a ration to the US soldier during the World War I. The first chocolate factory in Britain was established in 1728. In 1828, the Dutchman C.J. van Houten discovered a method for removing the fat from the cocoa so that they can get the cocoa butter. The cocoa tree grows in warm, moist, and tropical places such as in Africa, South America, Asia, and within the United States. Since the cocoa is a natural product, the variations of its quality are caused by several factors. For example, the growth region. So, where does the cocoa be planted does make a difference in variation of the cocoa. The variety of the plant, breed, or hybrid, the care devoted to their cultivation, the way they care for their tree, and then the harvesting time, then the fermentation process, and also drying and storage process. Cocoa bean provide three components or ingredients for the chocolate industry. The first one is cocoa mass, or we can call it as cocoa liquor, the first liquid stage of processing cocoa bean. So you can see on the picture on the screen. And then cocoa butter. Cocoa butter is a cocoa liquor which is pressed to separate the cocoa butter from the cocoa solid. You can see on the screen also. It is yellow in color. The substances look like butter but is more solid weight. And then last but not least, cocoa powder that you usually use it in the kitchen. So this is the process from the cocoa tree into the chocolate bar. So you can enjoy the video in the slide presentation. Okay, this is the flow from the cocoa pod until you get two products, which is solid cocoa butter and cocoa powder. So first step, which is start from the cocoa pod itself, and then they take out the cocoa bean, they do the fermentation process, and then the drying process. After that, the cocoa bean been cleaned and winnowing and roasting and milling. Milling's just like a grinding process. And then they get the cocoa liquor, or we can call it as cocoa mass. From the cocoa liquor, we do a pressing process so that we can extract two different things, which is liquid butter and cocoa cake. Okay, we go into liquid butter first. So the liquid butter went through the process of filtering and tempering so that you get a solid butter, as you can see on the picture on the screen. And then part of the liquid butter, you also get a cocoa cake. You can see it's crumbled, the breaking and pulvering process, and then cooling process and packaging. And then when you grind some more, you can get the cocoa powder. Okay, first step in cocoa process, we need to do a cocoa fermentation, or we can call it as a penyampaian. So as you can see on the picture, the cocoa bean has been put in the pail, and then we move into the cocoa cake. The cocoa cake need to be breaking, pulverizing, cooling, and then packaging, so that we can get the cocoa powder, the usual cocoa powder that you use in your kitchen. Okay, now we move on into the cocoa fermentation. This is the first process, okay? The fermentation transforms the flavor to what we associate with cocoa and chocolate. So without fermentation, there's no chocolate flavor. So duration depends on variety. For example, 2 to 7 days depend on variety of your cocoa bean and also the weather. So when the fermentation is terminated, the cocoa bean are sun-dried. So it means that they dry up the cocoa bean on the ground like that, as what you can see on the screen. And then at this stage, the smell of cocoa emerge. So as what you can see, the wooden box or wooden case is where they put all the cocoa bean, and then they have to cover up with some leaf and then let it there for 2 to 7 days. And then after that, we need to sun-dry the cocoa bean for 4 to 5 days maybe, just to make they dry up. Okay, now we move into the next process, which is winnowing. Winnowing cocoa bean, also known as removing or take out the shell, the outer layer of the cocoa bean. The effective winnowing is a key to creating a great chocolate and proper flavor development. So as what you can see, this is the winnowing machine. They put all the dry up cocoa bean into the machine, and then end up the outer layer or the skin of the cocoa bean take out, and then they only take the inner part of the cocoa bean. So again, this is the process of the cocoa process. We just recap it back. First, we start with a cocoa pot, and then we need to do the harvesting and breaking process to get the cocoa seeds. Cocoa seed needs to do a fermentation process for 5 days. And then from the fermented cocoa seed, we need to dry up, sun dry up for 5 to 7 days. And then the dried cocoa bean, we need to do the cleaning process, preheating process, breaking and winnowing process. So we get a smaller size of cocoa bean, so we call it as cocoa nibs. Cocoa nibs also need to go through the process of roasting and grinding into the thick liquid, or we call it as cocoa mass. So the cocoa mass need to go the process of pressing, so that we can or derive cocoa butter and cocoa crumb. So those are two parts of cocoa mass. And then from the cocoa crumb, we need to do the grinding process again, so that we can get the cocoa powder. So this is the production process. We start with the mixing. Mix all of the raw material, put inside the mixer or machine that you can see on your screen. And then we go through the process of refining to make the chocolate paste into fine powder. And then we need to go the process of conching. Conching means that mixing into the high speed stirring or mixing process. The chocolate mass is mixed in the conch. Conch means that the machine itself, we call it as conch. And then we need to go through the process of tempering. The chocolate is pre-crystallized before molding and enrobing. And then lastly, we go into the process of molding to make the chocolate into what shape that you want, maybe a bar shape or coin or chocolate blocks maybe. Okay, we go into the conching process, the mixing process that I told before. So as what you can see on the screen, this is the conching machine. It's just like a mixer or the grinder or the stirrer machine. Conching is a long process of intense mixing, stir up, and aerating of heated liquid chocolate. During this long process, various of flavored, bitter substances as well as water vapor evaporates away from the chocolate. So with the long intense mixing action, assure that complete coating of every solid particle with cocoa butter, giving the chocolate a well-developed and delicious flavor and texture. Okay, those are several types of chocolate that you can get in the market. Okay, the first one is white chocolate. So it's just called white chocolate, but there's not chocolate or cocoa in color or brown in color. Chocolate contains no cocoa solid or cocoa powder. That's why the color is white. It is made from cocoa butter, a pale yellow edible vegetable fat which has a cocoa aroma and flavor. Because of the cocoa butter doesn't have a good taste of its own, so we need to add in milk, sugar, or sometimes vanilla essence to make it more flavorful and deliver a sweet and creamy product. So as what you can see on the screen, the white chocolate coin, and then the second one is milk chocolate. As what it is a solid chocolate made with milk, of course, because it is named for milk chocolate. So milk can be added in the form of either milk powder, liquid milk, or condensed milk. And unlike the white chocolate, this milk chocolate is made with a cocoa solid. So we do need to add cocoa powder to your milk chocolate to get a milk chocolate flavor. So, and then we move into the dark chocolate. Dark chocolate does not have any milk solid added. So this is a pure chocolate which contain cocoa solid, can range from 30% to 80% in the chocolate bar itself. So that's why the color is darker from the milk chocolate, because there's no content of milk inside it. Okay, then we move on into the semi-sweet and bittersweet. Semi-sweet and bittersweet is the types of dark chocolate. So as what we can say, dark chocolate is divided into two types, which is semi-sweet and bittersweet. So first, semi-sweet is frequently used for cooking purposes, so we can call it as cooking chocolate. It is a dark chocolate with half of much as sugar and cocoa. And then means that the proportion of the sugar and cocoa is equal. So semi-sweet chocolate does not contain any milk solid. Okay, bittersweet contains chocolate liquor or unsweetened chocolate, to which some sugar less than a third, more cocoa butter and vanilla flavoring. So it means that the bittersweet is more bitter than the semi-sweet because it contains less sugar than the semi-sweet. So it is typically has less sugar and more liquor. So that this bittersweet chocolate have an intense flavor than the semi-sweet chocolate. So bittersweet and semi-sweet chocolate are sometimes referred as converter chocolate. The higher the percentage of cocoa, the less sweet the chocolate is. So converter chocolate is much more expensive than the imitation or the milk chocolate or the white chocolate because the content of the pure chocolate inside it. Semi-sweet versus bittersweet. Semi-sweet and bittersweet chocolates are both considered as dark chocolate. Below, they stated the percentage of cocoa in both bittersweet and semi-sweet chocolate. In bittersweet chocolate, they have 65% of cocoa, while in semi-sweet chocolate, they have around 50 to 65% of cocoa. Means that bittersweet chocolate have intense flavor than the semi-sweet chocolate. Now we move into converter. Converter is rich in cocoa butter, at least 30% of cocoa butter. It is more expensive than compound or any cooking chocolate that's sold in the shop or in the store. Okay, compound, also known as imitation chocolate or chocolate coating. Okay, flavored products. Besides converter, compound chocolate, or cooking chocolate, we also have flavored chocolate, for example, strawberry and orange flavored chocolate. We also have chocolate chip, which is in semi-sweet chocolate, milk chocolate, and white chocolate chip. Cocoa powder or cocoa solid. The remains after cocoa butter has been extracted. They have a cocoa solid or cocoa powder. Unsweetened powder produced by grinding cocoa beans and pressing out the cocoa butter, or we can call it as fat. The resulting cocoa powder is low in fat but has an intense chocolate taste. Cocoa powder is used for baking or for drinking with added milk and sugar. This is the usual cocoa powder that you use in the kitchen. Okay, this is a picture of white chocolate coin. This is how the cocoa butter look like. Okay, chocolate do and don'ts. Chocolate reacts poorly with water, so you have to be careful. Please be careful, don't let the water get into the chocolate. It becomes the chocolate hard and spotty in color. On the picture above, there's a picture of chocolate have been curdled, or because there's a particle of water get into it while the process of melting. Chocolate also burns easily, so you have to be careful when melting your chocolate. It can be melted over double boiler or hot water bath only. So below is the picture of how the chocolate look like if we straight away melt it on direct heat, which is a result of burnt chocolate. On your right side is a good chocolate. We melt the chocolate using a bain-marie or double boiler or water bath. The fat in cocoa powder is composed of 6 different types of crystal, each melt at different temperature. So the fat crystal create a problem for chocolate, causing the chocolate to separate out. So we need to do a tempering process to allow the beta crystal to dominate melting. It is necessary for chocolate to use in decoration or coating. We need to do the tempering process. So these are 3 stages of tempering. First step, we need to melt the chocolate. So we need to melt the chocolate until it reaches a certain temperature over water bath or steam, hot steam. And then the second step, we need to cool down the chocolate mixture so that the fat crystal recrystallize. So until we reach a certain stage of temperature, and then we let it rewarm again, or rewarming stage, so that the beta crystal remain intact. So we need to reheat again for the second time until it reach a certain temperature that needed for certain kind or each kind of chocolate. So there are 2 methods of tempering. The first one is table method, or also considered as stabling method. And then the second one is seeding method or injection method. Okay, first, table method. Why we call as table method? Because part of the chocolate that been melted, we need to pour into the cool table or marble slab, as what you can see from the picture above. Then, after the part of the chocolate been cooled down a little bit, and then we need to scoop it back and add in back into the mixture of the chocolate, and then reheat it again. So the process of tempering on the table helps to cool down the temperature. Okay, the second style is seeding or injection method. Means that first we need to melt your chocolate until it reaches certain temperature, and then add in shaved chocolate or chocolate chip to make the temperature cool down a little bit. And then after that, when it reaches a certain temperature, you reheat it again until the certain temperature needed. So this table shows that what temperature should dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and white chocolate should be melt, cooling, and tempering again. So you can read it by yourself. For example, for dark chocolate, we need to melt the dark chocolate for the first time until it reaches 45 to 48 degrees Celsius, and then let it cool on the table or using seeding style until it reaches 25 degrees Celsius. After that, you need to reheat it again until the chocolate reaches the temperature of 29 until 32 degrees Celsius. Okay, you should remember that chocolate should be melted slowly gently, and please avoid humidity, steam, or any small quantity amount of water will ruin your chocolate. So this is the process of melting your chocolate. We use water bath. We put a clean bowl and add in your chocolate coin or cocoa coin, and then above it we have a pot of water and reheat it. So this is the process of cooling using tabling method. We pour the melted chocolate on the slab to let it cool on the marble slab, and then we just spread it on the table or the marble slab to let your mixture cool down. So this is the picture of tabling process. We pour the melted chocolate onto the marble slab and let it cool. And then after it reached a certain temperature, for example 25 degrees Celsius, we scoop all those mixture, put it back in the bowl, and then reheat it again until it reaches 48 degrees Celsius. So the chocolate has done or tempered. The properly tempered chocolate dries in a minute, so it has a shine with no streak on the surface, as what you can see on the picture above. So the properly tempered chocolate is used for shaping or cut the chocolate for decoration, or to wrap or coating around the cake or tarts. So those are the problem, or we call it as chocolate blooms. There are three types of bloom, which is chocolate bloom, sugar bloom, and fat bloom. So the sugar bloom occur when the surface of the chocolate is exposed to the moisture or high humidity, while the fat bloom is visible accumulation of large cocoa butter crystals on the chocolate surface, as what you can see on the picture. It gives a greasy surface texture that melt readily when touched. So, chocolate ganache. We move into the chocolate ganache. Chocolate ganache is a rich combination of cream and chocolate. It used to produce truffles. So, the proportion of chocolate ganache is 3 parts of chocolate to 1 part of cream. For example, if you're using 300 grams of chocolate, we need to have 100 grams of cream so that we can get a good chocolate ganache. So, this is an example of chocolate praline, which is the chocolate have been well tempered, and then pour inside the mold, let it cool, and then you knock until the chocolate praline came out from the mold. You can use or you can add in several colors to your chocolate to make it more colorful and more attractable for you to eat. So you can add in any kind of filling into the chocolate praline. These are examples of chocolate decoration. You need to temper your chocolate well so that you can use it, or you can say that the chocolate is stable so it can hold any process that you made. Okay, thank you. That's all for today. Bye-bye.